Ham radio is based on technology that's been with us for more than 100 years. But that doesn't mean the hobby is getting old. It's seen a lot of changes during its time, from the original tube-type radios that people would build in their basements, to the new handheld digital transceivers that can fit in a shirt pocket. The hobby of today barely resembles the hobby of even 50 years ago. Now too, with digital technologies, it is even possible to send computer files or share an internet connection over a radio link. So, let's pop into the other room and I'll show you some of the neat gadgets in my ham radio station. Well, welcome to my ham radio station, VE7ALB. That's my call sign. Now, as you can see, I've got various pieces of radio equipment here, but in addition to that, I've also got a computer. And that's actually really important when it comes to radio, because the two are becoming more and more integrated. As I mentioned earlier, you can send files over a radio link or share an internet connection. You can even play LAN computer games over a radio link. It's really cool, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. I'm going to start off by talking about technology that's been with us since the beginning. This is called a high-frequency radio, and what it does is it covers lower frequency bands that we used to use back in the days before VHF, before UHF, back in the 1930s when all radio frequencies were either in the AM or shortwave bands. Now, with this radio, I can actually talk to people around the world. That's how the theory goes anyway. In actuality, I can only talk to people across North America because of my antenna situation and such. But, I mean, even that is pretty impressive when you're just talking about radio-to-radio link. It's not using satellite or anything else. There's no activity on this particular band right now, but in the morning I actually use this radio to listen to the Australia National Broadcaster from Melbourne. It comes through really clearly, and I like to listen to the news from the Asia-Pacific region. Gives kind of a different perspective on things. Now, above the HF radio, I've got this thing. This is a VHF transceiver, and it's for more local type radio coverage. With this radio, it's a 45-watt radio. I can talk to people around Victoria on handheld radios or also on base stations like this. The advantage to localized VHF communications is the audio quality is a lot nicer than something that you would hear on the HF bands. But again, you can only talk to people who are in your area. To help combat the poor coverage, though, we've set up things called repeaters. And what a repeater is it's basically an antenna and radio system that sits on top of a mountain, and it can pick up signals from pretty far away. And then what it does is it picks up the weak radio signals and then amplifies them and redistributes them over a really wide area. So lots of people can hear. With our local repeater, I can talk into, about Vancouver, Whistler area, which is pretty impressive. It's a pretty good repeater. You hear that noise there? That's just me activating the repeater with my radio. The other advantage to having repeaters is that many of them are connected to the internet. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to dial up a 4-digit number using the DTMF memory numbers on the microphone, and what you can do is you can actually link yourself to any other repeater in the world that's connected via the internet. So basically I can use my VHF radio to talk to anybody anywhere in the world at any time. It's pretty neat. Now over here I've got some more cool radio equipment. This one up here is a marine VHF radio. I use it to monitor the Coast Guard frequency, listen to boaters, eavesdropping, that kind of thing. But this is another VHF radio, and so is this one, just so I can monitor multiple frequencies at the same time. But when we're talking about eavesdropping, these things are really good for that. These are called radio scanners, and because I'm an operator, it's legal for me to own them. And what it allows me to do is it allows me to input almost any frequency including aircraft, marine, even the analog police frequencies, and listen to them. I've got 100 different memory channels in this one. I can program a frequency into each one, and then it scans it really, really fast, so that I won't miss any action that might be going on. I use this to listen to marine and aircraft frequencies primarily, as well as some ham radio frequencies that I don't have programmed into my other radios. Unfortunately, here in Victoria, our police has gone digital. They're using a inferior digital system that doesn't really work that well, but I can't pick them up on my old analog scanner, so I'm working on trying to get a APCO 25 scanner, which will allow me to pick up the police. Alright, so now I've got a really cool device to show you. This is the ICOM ID1 radio, and it's a beauty. This is a D-Star transceiver, and as you can see, it plugs into my laptop. I've got Ethernet, an Ethernet connection, and a USB connection. The USB connection is so I can program frequencies and stuff into the ID1 radio using my computer, and the Ethernet connection is so I can do networking over a radio link, and that's exactly what this radio allows me to do. You can see it's also got a microphone, so I can talk to people using digital voice, which is a lot clearer than talking to people using FM voice. So that's a bonus, and it's got a digital data mode, as I was saying, which allows me to share an internet connection over a radio link and share files with people and stuff like that. It's really cool. So I'm just going to show you my setup right here. I'm running Windows Vista, only because it's the only Windows operating system I currently have on my MacBook. Otherwise, I'd be doing this in XP. But as you can see, I've just brought up Network and Sharing Center here, and here's my computer name, and I'm connected to a network, which is then connected to the internet. And the network it detects is the ID1 radio. It detects it as a network. This is just the front panel of the radio. Allows me to control it. So if we bring up the web browser here, here's the Google page, and if I refresh it, and then if you look at the radio, you see it's got a bunch of activity going on, which is normal. It's now transmitting signals and receiving the signal back from the repeater. Now this internet is, of course, it's not very fast. It's only about the same speed as Shaw Light, and downloads are even worse. Downloads are about 20 kilobytes per second. But I mean, that's not going to be something you're worrying about if you're, say, out on a boat in the middle of the water and you need to pull up an internet connection for some reason. That's pretty much why this is useful. If you don't have an internet connection, you're out doing some field radio work, and you need to send a picture across. It's a really useful system, and I really enjoy playing around with it.